Hey guys, I'm Phil Town from Real One Investing, and today I want to talk to you about why living within your means has got to be part of your investment strategy. So rule number one is don't lose money. All right, that comes from Warren Buffett, who famously said there's two rules of investing. Rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, don't forget rule number one. So once you've paid off all your debt, you got a raise at work, you got your wonderful businesses on your list, you've increased your income, it can be pretty easy to feel like you should start to spend more on your lifestyle, like maybe buying that new Tesla. I gotta tell you, man, I just saw one of my friends drive up in a new white Tesla. Those are sexy cars. Holy smokes, I could get it. Like why you would want to go buy a new car. It's really common when you start to make more money and you start to have more disposable income that you start to do the things you want in your life, right? You start to buy those luxuries. And people who are nearing retirement, man, they can fall victim to this, but the people who really do this are young people. They're taking dollars that could make them very wealthy one day, and they're buying something they don't need with it to impress people who don't care. So, I don't know, maybe the mortgage is almost paid off when you're almost ready to retire, you're done raising a family, you got a surplus of money, you're 55 years old, maybe it's time to get a more expensive car, have a better vacation, maybe get a second home. People do this all the time, you guys. Now, it's really great to reward yourself with a lifestyle change, right? Sure. But here's the thing. You don't want to use up all of these vastly important resources that are going to be very important to you down the road. Spending your new money on short-sighted things can prevent you from properly saving for retirement. And here's why people do it. I'm going to tell you. People do it because they have no real clear idea about what it's going to cost them in retirement to live in their current standard of living. They have no clue what the impact is of the power of compounding an interest rate of inflation of 3% is what that's going to do to your retirement fund. Now, this little thing that we're talking about is called lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation. And I'll tell you, it's really important you avoid it and be smart about your money until you know you can make your number, the number of dollars you need to hit before you retire. So Warren Buffett is a real good example of a guy who's pretty wealthy, right? The guy still lives in the same house he bought all the way back in the early 1960s. He lives a fairly frugal lifestyle. He's got one thing he does for a splurge. He's got a private jet because he's so famous. He just gets hassled everywhere he goes, right? That he calls the indefensible. The indefensible. So he bought his house in, I guess, 1958 actually, for $31,500. Still lives there, and it has a fence around it, but you can go see it. And that just goes to show you that you can't always tell how much money somebody's worth from their car or their house or other material possessions. However, if they're driving a jet named the Indefensible, they might have a couple bucks. Buffett understands that a home is for living in. It's not something you just have to buy to show off. I can't believe the kind of homes people are putting money into, like at 6 bedrooms or something. Their kids are gone, right? So to avoid lifestyle inflation, it's really important to remember that material possessions don't always bring happiness. Now I can argue the other side of that too. I mean, they're nice to have stuff, for sure. But is it really necessary to own multiple houses, to own many different kinds of cars, to have a whole bunch of collectibles? Most of the time, these turn out to be short-term buys that don't continue to make money. They turn out to maybe not be really good assets. So when you have Rule 1 mindset, you want to always think about investing for the long term. So some of the money that Warren Buffett saved on the house went back into making him more money for buying stocks and more money for buying stocks and more money for buying stocks. And all that compounding gives you the opportunity to really have an impact down the road when you're retired. All right, so you guys, living within your means is kind of a key thing. When I first started investing, I had an advantage that I had been living within my means, and my means were very small. My means were really near meaningless. I'd been in the Army for a bunch of years, and then I was a river guide for another decade. So I had essentially been living in one way or another out of a sleeping bag for about 13 years when I first started investing. Everything I owned was in a little thing about this big, and I never really felt poor. I mean, I was just living a certain kind of a lifestyle, right? So I didn't have anything. I was making about $4,000 a year. But what I knew was how to live within that. Like, I didn't need a lot of money. And by the way, on $4,000 a year, I traveled around the world. So it's not about how much money you've got, it's about how much you're living on. So if you can stay under the amount of money you're making, you've got money to invest. And that's what's so critical. Now, what you're gonna find as you start to develop your career, you start to make more money, you're gonna find, like all of us have, that your expenses grow at least as fast as your new income. And what you've got to do, and this is something you just have to do as a discipline, is you have to keep the belt tight. So as you're making more money, you don't want to just immediately raise your lifestyle, have this big lifestyle creep up to sucking up every new dollar that you're making, right? So as you're making more money, here's what I'd like to see you do. Just simply don't spend more for a while. Take the new check that you're getting, the new dollars that you're receiving, and start putting that off in a Roth IRA, start putting it off in some kind of an investment account. You shouldn't buy a new car. You shouldn't go get the new Tesla, as much as we'd all like to have one, right? You want to think about guys like Warren Buffett, guys like the guys that built Walmart. You know, I mean, they didn't live a rich lifestyle. They got a great deal of joy, not out of parading around in some fancy car and living in some fancy neighborhood. They got joy out of doing a job that was helping other people, about doing a job that they loved, that was doing something that was going to make a major impact on the rest of the world. So that's kind of what I want you guys to think about. When I first started investing, I didn't have anything. I just kept the belt tight. As I started to make money, I was able to roll that new capital into my investing accounts, and that ultimately turned out to be worth millions of dollars. So don't buy the new car. Don't buy the new house. Don't expand your lifestyle. Don't join the country club. You just stay within the lifestyle you've got. Try to do it for 3 or 4 years. And here's the advice I've got for you. Focus on taking 10% of your income right off the top and moving it out of your spendable income into some kind of investment account. Get it out of there early. Get it into a pre-tax account, get it into a post-tax account if you're in a low tax bracket, but get it out of the way and get it off the top. We call that paying yourself first. That's so important. If you can get those dollars working when you're young, 25, 26 years old, those dollars are going to make you really, really rich and give you a lot of options down the road. So pay yourself first and then live on what's left, whatever that lifestyle is. So that's what you're going to do. So I want you to focus on what the best investors in the world do. They keep the belt tight, they don't live big flashy lifestyles, and that allows them to build up the capital to become a really, really successful, wealthy investor. Now, I'd love to hear with you what you have to say about this. Are you living within your means? Are you able to do that 10% per year? Pay yourself first. Leave a comment below with your answer, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. And I really appreciate you watching. Now go play. And if you enjoyed the video and thought it was valuable for teaching you more about investing, subscribe to my channel, you guys. This is a great channel for learning stuff. And share this video with your friends or anybody else who might benefit from the information.